Let's call it 5, 4. What comes after 4? Oh, yeah. 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Marketing as a Foreign Language, episode 221. Yes, these are incredibly cool sunglasses. Did you know that our guest today is truly amazing? Really, from a professional standpoint, to have been chosen to be the person that's going to value companies like Uber, Twitter, GE. Have you heard of any of these? I mean, AirBNB, DoorDash, Tesla, ring any bells? Anyone? Anyone? Unbelievable. So if you're going to walk into a situation where they're asking you to put a number, you've got the two opposing sides. You got side number one saying if this ain't worth nearly as much as you say it is. You got side number two saying it's worth double. You're not going to, what magic number is going to make both people happy? Really, you're going to make both people unhappy. And that's how you know you've hit the right number, because both folks are kind of like, and then they come to the agreement. I'm telling you, the politics of this, the relationships, you have to just be stellar, because whatever number you come up with and the rationale you come up with for that number determines whether or not these people are going to use you in the future as well. So this particular skill set is truly, truly a balancing act. And our guest today, Bharat, Kanodia, also has a fantastic YouTube channel that you should check out. Really high quality stuff. He's doing it the right way. I am thrilled to dive into the life story of this particular guest. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, the one, the only, Bharat Kanodia.
Thank you, Kellen. Of all the introductions I've ever received, this is the most recent.
The most recent? That is too funny. It is the most recent of all the introductions you have received. So, for the love of all that is holy in this world, how can you possibly get the number right? How?
There is no such thing as a right number, Kellen. If I know anything, that I do know that all the evaluations are incorrect or inaccurate, because all evaluation is just a perspective, and anybody's perspective could be wrong or right depending on where you are or who you are. So evaluation is just a perspective. If somebody says that, hey, this painting is worth 100 million, or this painting is worth 100,000 or $10, well, who's to say they're right or wrong? Value is in the eye of the beholder. So if somebody says something is worth this, well, that's what it's worth.
Right. So why are they paying you?
Great question. They pay me to understand the why. Most people, when they come to me, they know what the thing might be worth, what the asset is worth approximately. They need somebody to put it on paper. Or once in a while, they don't know what it's worth, and they really need to know. Generally, it's people's intentions that's really driving the valuations, right? So say if somebody needs a valuation of a business for tax purposes, they
Right.
want the lowest valuation possible. If somebody needs a valuation for investment purposes, they would want the highest valuation as possible. So people's intentions or their purpose is really the biggest driver on where the valuations might be.
It's interesting. I didn't even think about taxes this entire time. My mind was solely focused on my business. What is my business worth? Which is usually how business owners operate. Do you find that there's just a flood of business owners that want to know what the value of their business is?
Yeah, so valuations are done for a few purposes, if you will, right? So most people think valuations are only done for one purpose, right? You're trying to buy something or sell something, right? Some kind of a transaction, right? So that's one purpose. The second purpose could be accounting, as in if you say invested $100 in a company today, what might be it worth 3 months from now, 6 months from now, 12 months from now, and you got to state that in your books.
Hmm.
A third reason is could be insurance, right? So that's why I had to appraise the Golden Gate Bridge, because it was underwritten by Lloyd's of London, and Lloyd's of London needed to know how much premium to charge to underwrite that bridge. So they needed somebody to tell them what that bridge is worth.
Wow. So cities will get insurance for bridges?
Yeah. So imagine you are some hotshot partner at Lloyd's of London, sitting there smoking your cigars and enjoying the cash flow all these cities are giving you for underwriting their bridges, roads, buildings, etc.
Right.
And you are watching CNN on September 11th, 2001,
Right.
watching the Twin Towers come down, right? You are going, oh my God, I am
Right.
underwriting all these large assets in the world. I might have to pay this out one day.
Right.
Right? And you go, oh my God, do I know what these things are worth? No. Well, we
Mm.
better find out. So that's when they hired the company that I work for, American Appraisal, to hire to go around the country and appraise all these large infrastructure assets so that Lloyd's of London knew exactly what these things are worth. I
Mm.
was the schmuck who was put in charge of it. Uh,
Wow.
and when I had appraised the Golden Gate Bridge, funny story, I had never appraised a bridge ever in my life before that.
Right.
First bridge I had ever appraised. Um,
Right.
so anyway, so for transaction or for accounting or for insurance, or it could be for taxes. Uncle Sam at the end of the day wants his cut. Uh,
Mhm.
and if you're transferring a business or you're inheriting a business, you need to know what it's worth so that you can pay appropriate taxes.
Mm. Okay. So at the end of the day, you come up with a number, and that number, in the case of the bridges, is based off of, I assume, extensive research into the value of a bridge. Um, is there no one else that can value a bridge? I mean, how did that fall on your plate?
Um, you know, uh, wrong guy at the wrong place at the wrong time, I suppose.
I mean, this guy's never evaluated a bridge. Let's have him do it.
I was so funny story. When I graduated from college, I graduated as a mechanical engineer,
Oh, okay.
but I didn't want anything to do with engineering, so I was looking for a job in finance. Well, who's going to give a 21-year-old kid who's got a mechanical engineering degree a job in finance? Well, I found one guy who became my boss. And when he had the opportunity to appraise all these large infrastructure assets around the country, he said,
Right.
hey, who do I have on my staff who understands engineering and can do a decent job? Oh, Bharat. Okay, he's the schmuck. So, as I
Yep.
said, wrong guy at the wrong place at the wrong time.
Well, that actually makes, I would say, the right guy at the right place at the right time. That's very interesting. So had you not had that mechanical engineering background, it wouldn't have made as much sense. But I agree with him. You got a potential client with a decent potential cash flow. You want to say yes to them. You're the valuation people, and you have someone on staff with a mechanical engineering degree. I mean, this is how the world works. We say yes, and very interesting. So, as we mentioned, or as I mentioned backstage, part of the show is getting your life story and trying to connect the dots between who you were and who you've become. And we can bounce around. No stress there. But why don't we go all the way back to where you were born, and your parents, and then we'll start connecting some dots.
Oh, sure. So I was born in New Delhi, India. I am the eldest child. And let's see, traditional family. My father's an entrepreneur. He was in aluminum. My grandfather's an entrepreneur. Everybody in my family pretty much is. Um, and let's see, where do I go from there?
Well, New Delhi. Okay. So, um, English is obviously ubiquitous in India. Were you speaking English from birth?
Pretty much, English is your almost your mother tongue, almost.
Hmm.
You go to school, everybody speaks in English. I went to a private all boys Catholic school, so there
Okay.
English is mandatory. And Yeah, I mean, went to the same school from kindergarten to 12th grade.
Okay.
And then in 12th grade, first time, my first ever international or foreign trip was to the US, where I went to college, went to Wisconsin Madison, of all places.
Did they tell you it was cold?
No, I
You
had
didn't.
no idea how cold it could be.
Yeah, Wisconsin gets a little chilly.
Yeah,
So,
I
so
went there because it was a top 10 engineering school.
okay.
My grandfather, and this is in 1996. And in 1996, Madison, Wisconsin was rated number one city in America by Money Magazine.
Really?
My grandfather showed me this newspaper clipping, and he said, "Hey, is this where you're going?" I said, "Yeah, I think so." He's like, "Oh, okay, you're gonna have fun there." I said, "All right, great,
Hmm.
let's see."
Wow. You said your grandfather chose Madison.
He didn't choose Madison, but he showed me the clip that, hey, if this is where you're going, you're not going to a bad place.
Right.
He endorsed it.
Okay. Okay. So, does Catholicism remain an important part of your life?
No, I went to a Catholic school, so I have, read the Bible and been following Catholicism, know some of the stories. Um,
Mhm.
but no, I was born Hindu. My family was Hindu. I
Interesting.
appreciate all the religions in the world.
Right. Well, that's fascinating. So, have you heard of the Hare Krishna movement and those folks?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, I did that for a few years.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I still got the mantra in my brain for sure. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna.
Yeah.
And I had a moment with this gentleman. So I was vegetarian, and I'm vegan now, pretty much. And this, I don't know what the word would be to describe this gentleman, like a spiritual leader type person, was showing up to this household where all the Hare Krishna folks would congregate. And one of the things I liked about the house was there was no TV in the
Mhm.
home, and there was just an altar in the living room instead of the TV. And the whole point was just praising God as much as humanly possible. That was just the whole vibe. And to me, that was such a different atmosphere than what I was used to. And this gentleman came, and yeah, I was going to be honest with him, and they were literally like, wash his feet. I mean, the red carpet was being rolled out for this man, and I was very respectful. And he gave a talk, and then we started talking, and I started being honest in a conversation with this gentleman, in front of a like decent chunk of people, and these were my friends and everything, and I was like, I don't know about that, and what about. And he stopped, and he looked at me. He goes, "I like you." And that stuck with me for many years, because I was so afraid of being myself and actually being honest with this person, because again, he was just this, you know, I had all the clothings of like a holy man, right?
Mhm.
And all of all of that, and I basically just had this internal dialogue saying, I can either tell this guy what I believe to be true, or I can just lie to him, just be like, oh, okay, just whatever. Um, and so, yeah, it was interesting. I mean, that's how I knew he was the real deal, because when I was being very honest with him, in front of a group of people, that he was honest with me, it felt honest anyway. So, yeah, I have a soft spot in my heart for sure for Hinduism. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
one thing people don't realize about Hinduism or Judaism,
Mm,
these two religions are really not religions.
mm,
They are a way of life.
mm,
But to make uh, this way of life fit into the Anglo paradigm, Anglo-Saxon paradigm, if you will,
mhm,
classified as religions. Whereas they're really not. Judaism is not a religion. It's classified as a religion, but it's just a way of life. I mean, people back in the day, they didn't think of, oh, this is my religion. No, it's just who we are, what we do. um, Christianity or Islam, right? Some of these, right? These are actually religion, right? Formed by people, and they have a book and all that.
mhm.
So,
Yeah, people really struggle with Hinduism because they want to point to the Hindu Bible. And so the Bhagavad Gita gets a lot of play for that.
yeah,
But it's part of my understanding is that it's part of just a ridiculous, voluminous, like multi-book,
right,
sagas, of
right,
culture. And I'm reminded of Thor and the stories that came out of Northern Europe and just the tons of anecdotes and myth that it evolved in these places. And if I know one thing's for sure, I know that people will invent things that are fantastical. People do this. They put. I mean, Marvel is a fantastic example nowadays. And they will create magic, and people are just creative in that sense. And it always comes from. It's always rooted in our humanity and in our visions. And so there's of course truth to it. Um, I want to better understand you. And I think we're getting a little bit closer. So Hindu, Catholic, so fascinating, those two things. So how do you wrap your head around those two worlds?
um again, I went to a Catholic school, and it was during my formative years, and
Yeah.
it was fantastic. Even though they didn't force their thinking upon me at all, they just said, hey, this is the Bible, right? They're missionaries, right? They're trying to spread the word of Jesus Christ, but they weren't forceful.
Mm,
So, and frankly, 80% of the kids in the school were Hindus.
right.
Only 10% were Catholics.
Okay.
um, so no, it was great. The first thing they really teach you is discipline,
Mm,
and that's good for any child anywhere, irrespective of the religion or socioeconomic status, anything. Uh,
mhm.
Discipline is always a good thing. Now, I would like to say that I'm disciplined the way they had taught me, but it's been a long time. Uh,
Well, I mean, it's. I think it's clear to anyone listening to this now or after the fact. Just go to that YouTube channel. I mean, those YouTube videos, Bharat, are. I mean, I just saw just the slightest amount, but the camera, the panning, the audio quality. I mean, they're legitimate. The thumbnails, they're really strong. So, if you're listening to this, make sure to check out Bharat's YouTube channel. Quickly tell them where to find that.
yeah, go to YouTube, and it's called "What's It Worth." In that, we have about 28, 29 videos, and we're doing one video every 2 weeks. And each video, we talk about a different type of a business or a concept in valuation. And don't be joining us, thinking I'm going to be doing geek talk. I mean, if you want to do geek talk, just give me a call. We'll do geek talk. But my videos are very in plain, simple English so that everybody can understand them.
Yeah. So I mean, really, it's worth a click or two. Hit the thumbs up button. You want to. So, okay. So everyone struggles. Everyone goes through unbelievable adversity. There are seasons of weeping in everyone's life, and seasons of spring. And this is just the nature of it. When you were growing up, was there anything in particular that stands out to you that was a very difficult challenge to overcome?
Yeah, I was, as I said, the older of the two kids. I have a younger brother, and many a times, you parents have high expectations of the older brother.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes you do well, and sometimes you don't. Right? Like everybody else, you make mistakes.
Hmm.
So I just feel sometimes I think I would have.
We have unfortunately lost Bharat, and it's gonna be difficult to know how that story ends until three, two, one. All right, he's back. So you were saying it was difficult to perhaps meet those expectations at times.
Yeah, and it was even more difficult because some people around me weren't exactly encouraging.
Mm,
You're always just told how bad you are at something. You start to believe you're bad at something. And this is something that I am trying to change with my children.
mm,
And go back and change the past. It is what it is. You just learn from it and you move on. But now, anytime somebody tells my daughter or my son that they are not doing this right or doing this badly, I just sort of hold back and I say, "Look, it's done, but going forward, do it like this, and
hmm.
let's see how they do." And it's a process. All children really need is encouragement. They're just so beautiful inside outside. All you really need to do is just give them a frame that's positive and they will blossom.
Hmm. Oh yeah, not a day goes by that I don't tell my kids how much I love them and how proud of them I am. I mean, I adore my kids, and I'm doing things differently than the way I was raised as well. So I wonder why it is that sometimes, well, I don't wonder. I know that these cycles can be pretty devastating, and there are a number of things that life can throw at us that make life incredibly challenging. So you don't have to tell me who it was specifically, but the pressure that you felt to be this perfect eldest son, it seems as though you lived up to that pressure. Does that make sense? Living in San Francisco, you like to go sailing, you do valuations for Uber, like whatever clothes that is, that you tailored throughout your life to wear. It seems as though you did it. You tailored that really nice suit, and you manifested the house, the American dream, all of these things. Um, can you find the path through the way that they criticized you to where you are now? Can you see the way that they treated you as a good thing? Or does it remain to be something that was not worth it in your view?
Oh, I think so, very much so. I think had they not pushed me, I had been nowhere close to where I am today. And Kellen, I feel every generation of parents think that they've cracked the code on parenting. Right? My parents thought the same thing. I'm thinking the same thing. And hopefully, maybe in 20, 30 years from now, my son or daughter will be on a channel like this. I don't know if they'll be holograms or something, right?
Right.
They'll be talking about something their dad did wrong, while the dad thinking all along, hey, I did pretty well. I'm sure the same thing happened with my parents and your parents, right? Thinking that, hey, we did pretty well while we're here criticizing how
Mm,
they could have done better. And this is going to go on into perpetuity, right? Every generation of parents thinks they're awesome and they are, giving their children the best schooling, the best education, the best nourishment, what have you.
yep.
Uh, while a child many times might only see the negative. And whose fault is that? The parents or the child? Well, I guess that's
Mm.
yet to be determined.
Wow. That's so true though. That's so true. Yeah, because I look at it, I'm like, I'm doing great. Ah, that is too funny. Yeah. I mean, we're just hardwired for that perhaps. Maybe that's what makes you a great parent later in life, is you see areas. I mean, because I remember being a student and thinking, I can do so much better than these teachers. Are you kidding me? Like, what? And then I became a teacher and I was like, never mind. Never, you mind. Okay, so New Delhi, I'm curious what that experience is like. So what's the population of that city?
Growing up, it was about 5 million. Now it's probably about 25 million. But it was
Wow.
fantastic. I grew up in a suburb of New Delhi. It was a regular childhood. Not much different than here. Here in America, we are really trained to think that outside of America, every place else sucks. And that's just sort of a sense of self-importance, if you will.
Right,
But some of the educated people who've been around the block and who've traveled, they know it's not the case.
right.
Um, when I went to Wisconsin, people thought we flew around in magic carpets, and I said, "Yeah, we do." Why would I say otherwise? I'm like, "Do
Wow.
you guys have magic carpets here?" Um,
Wow.
but no, it was a great childhood. My school was like 2 miles from my house. I sometimes biked to school. I had great teachers. I had great social life. Yeah, my parents did the best they could. Yeah.
I love it. It's fantastic. Was there a teacher that stood out to you early in life that was really
Yeah,
strong?
I was fortunate to have some fantastic teachers. I had one math teacher and one chemistry teacher who was really most kind to me. Many of them.
Mm,
All the teachers were very kind. We don't realize it at that time, right? You're just kids.
right.
But now you reflect back, you're like, man, they were really kind. Of course, you make stupid mistakes and they yell at you. You hate them for it, but you think, that guy was actually nice at that time. He should have punished me more.
Ah, is there a specific story that is coming to mind that you did something and
Well, no, not really. Just in general, right? I mean, kids are stupid. Kids are always just trying to push their luck, especially if you go to an all boys school. I mean, boys are idiots, right? you know.
I know exactly what you mean when you say that. I know exactly what you mean. Okay, so you had a good go at it. When you finally decided to leave for the United States, well, I don't mean finally. So you were 18 at the time,
17.
17. What was that like? Saying goodbye to your family, picking up, and just moving to a completely different place.
Yeah, it was great. My family was very encouraging, and it wasn't like back in 50 years ago that when you're gone for ages, right? I mean, I would go back home every semester, see my family, or my parents would visit, so it was great. It was not much different than um,
And he disappears yet again. Bharat is known for his illusionist skills. All right, you're back.
sorry, I wasn't. I'm not sure if this is me or you. It was probably
That's fine.
so.
So, all right. So we've got 2 minutes left. 1 minute left. I want to make sure you have an opportunity to pitch. We have talked about your YouTube channel. So folks definitely should go check that out. I certainly am going to. And what else should people know? Or do you want to give them a way to contact you?
The best way to contact me, Kellen, is to go to my YouTube channel, and under the About page, we have an email. If you have a question or you need advice, if you're looking to raise capital or you just raise capital, and if you have a good product or a good service and you would like some introductions to venture capitalists, happy to reach out. Happy to help if I can.
Yeah, the one, the only Bharat Kanodia, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to give you the final word. Drop some wisdom on him, Bharat.
Valuation is all about business model. So if you got the right business model, you got a high valuation.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's Marketing as a Foreign Language, episode 221. You can join us live on youtube.com/Send It Rising, 10:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, or after the fact, iTunes and Spotify. Y'all know the drill. We'll see you next time.